The tranquility of Banderas Bay was recently shattered, not by a Pacific storm, but by the synchronized paralysis of one of Mexico's premier tourist corridors. In early 2026, Puerto Vallarta transitioned from a vacation sanctuary to a security zone as major airlines, including Air Canada, suspended operations following a massive military confrontation. A shootout between government forces and organized crime elements claimed the lives of 25 soldiers, triggering a wave of narcobloqueos, retaliatory roadblocks involving vehicle arson and carjackings across the state of Jalisco. As the Guadalajara and Puerto Vallarta airports faced mass hysteria and flight cancellations, the United States State Department issued shelter-in-place orders for Americans. This isn't just a local disturbance, it is a direct challenge to the perception of Puerto Vallarta as a safe haven within Mexico, exposing the fragile boundary between the multi-billion-dollar tourism industry and the shadow economy of the CJNG cartel. Before it was a global resort hub, this region was a rugged shipping point for silver ore extracted from the Sierra Madre mines. Founded in 1851 as Puerto Las Penas, it served as a blue-collar port until it was renamed in 1918 after jurist Ignacio Vallarta. Historically, the area's isolation protected it from the central conflicts of the Mexican Revolution and early drug trafficking routes. Its global identity shifted permanently in 1963 when director John Huston chose it as the location for The Night of the Iguana. The presence of Hollywood elite like Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor sparked a construction boom, transforming a sleepy fishing village into a Spanish colonial destination. While crime in the 20th century was largely localized or related to piracy in the 1500s, the modern era has seen the city's sophisticated infrastructure become an attractive asset for larger, more organized illicit entities seeking to launder money through real estate and hospitality. The current conflict in Puerto Vallarta is defined by a hybrid of physical violence and financial deception. While the city maintains a statistically lower crime rate than other Mexican municipalities, its role in the narcotics supply chain has evolved. The Jalisco New Generation Cartel, the CJNG, uses the region not just for transit, but as a primary financial hub. In early 2026, the United States Treasury Department sanctioned multiple companies linked to the CJNG involved in complex timeshare fraud schemes targeting unsuspecting tourists and expatriates. The conflict manifests in three ways: the use of narcobloqueos to disrupt law enforcement, the infiltration of legitimate tourism businesses for money laundering, and occasional jailbreaks that highlight the volatility of local correctional facilities. Security is no longer just about street-level safety. It is about the integrity of the city's economic pillars. The debate over Puerto Vallarta's future is split between economic reality and security concerns. Tourism advocates argue that the city remains one of the safest destinations in Mexico, noting that over 1.6 million visitors had problem-free experiences in recent years. Their goal is to maintain the city's reputation, viewing recent violence as a manageable, isolated disruption that does not target tourists directly. They believe that publicizing these events harms the livelihoods of locals who depend entirely on international travel. On the other hand, security analysts and international regulators argue that the perception of safeties is being used as a shield by organized crime. They contend that by ignoring the deep-seated infiltration of cartels into the real estate and financial sectors, the city risks a total systemic collapse. Their primary concern is that the current Pax Mafiosas, a peace maintained by cartel dominance, is inherently unstable and will eventually lead to more frequent and violent public disruptions. The future of Puerto Vallarta depends on three critical developments. First, we will likely see a significant increase in federal control over local security, with the Mexican National Guard taking a permanent, high-visibility role in tourist zones to restore international confidence. Second, the rules for the real estate and timeshare markets will face unprecedented scrutiny from both Mexican and United States financial authorities, aiming to choke off the CJNG's laundering channels. Finally, the city is moving toward a diversification strategy, shifting focus from traditional beach tourism to ecotourism and cultural routes in the Sierra Madre. This is an attempt to reduce economic vulnerability to coastal disruptions. Whether Puerto Vallarta can reclaim its status as safe Mexico depends on whether the state can successfully decouple its legitimate economy from the illicit networks that have historically funded its growth.